Hey guys, Aloha here, and today I'm going to show you, the viewer, how to do on-release gestures, as well as a bonus, randomized audio. What do I mean by on-release gestures? What I mean by that is when you hold down a gesture, right? So, for example, if I hold handgun, my gun spawns my hand, but then as soon as I let go of it, it doesn't just disappear like it would normally, right? It just fades away. Or, you know, say I shoot the gun, it shoots, it doesn't, and then as soon as I let go, it plays another sound. It just fills the silence. That's what I mean by on-release gestures. You can use them for a lot of things. You can use them for, like, say, on my tracer. What you can do with on-release audio, as well as particle systems and game objects and meshes, is the fact that you can, if I hold down rock and roll, nothing, but as soon as I let go, plays a sound source. Well, didn't play that time because, there you go. So as soon as I let go of the gesture, it played a particle system and played a sound. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. And you're going, huh, hang on a second. Aloha. That's playing like 3 different sounds at every time you do that one gesture. Yes, you are correct. Very good observation. The reason why that is happening is because I have done it in a way that it is going in a sequence. And I will show you exactly how to do all this stuff. So let's head on to Unity so I can explain and show to you how and why this happens. Okay, now that we're back in Unity, I'm now going to show you how to do the on-release stuff with audios and game objects and stuff. So let's just start with a cube, just to get ourselves like familiarized on how this process works. So you can do it 2 ways. You can do it with meshes. When you're doing a cube, for example, you can do it with just hiding meshes and all this stuff, or you can do it with animators. I find doing animators is a more optimized way, but I mean, at the end of the day, if it's easiest for you, do what's easier for you. But you know, I'm at that point where I can do some. I try new things to see how things go. But without further ado, let's just get on with it. And yeah, so the first thing you want to do is create a cube, right? Get rid of this box collider. Resize it. It's going to live about there. Let's make sure. Okay, so let's rename this to cube on hold, because this is the object that you're holding. So the objective of this particular thing I'm doing, I want it to go from this point to this point, right? So from the right hand side, if you were in the viewpoint of the avatar, or our left. So going from here to here. And that's how holding it down. And then when we release the gesture, it goes back to here, and then it disappears. So we can do this. It's relatively easy to do. It's just a little bit to set up. So then what I then do, right, is I then create. I normally just duplicate this anyway, because it's the same thing. I rename it. I call it on release. So that's your 2 cubes. So you're going to be wondering what the hell's going on, but this is the easiest way you can do it. Not the most optimized, but it's very good. It's good for what you're trying to do. So create an animation. Let's call it left, because it's our left. Duplicate it again. Control D. F2. Rename it to right. So it's going back to the right, or to the center, or whatever. And I'm pretty sure I spelled that wrong, but I don't really care. And make sure these animations are not looping, because you obviously don't want it to do it all at once. So let's just drag this here, drag this in here. So you got 2 different animations here. So on hold, we're going to make it so this cube is going here. Oh, whoops, sorry. Let's just shake it a little bit, and then at half a second, it goes here. That's all you need to do for that. So let's Control C that. Let's go over to the other animation. Control V. So then when we press record, all we need to do now is just bring it back to the original position. So here. It's not perfect. I mean, I'm not trying to get too finicky, because this is just showing you how this works. So now we should have 2 animations. So when we press play on this, it goes that way. And then when we go It goes back that way. So this is the reset. So now the next thing you want to do is you probably could just create a animation. So we're doing a gesture override animation. Let's call it cube thing. Right. Make sure it's looping because it is a gesture. Find your controller. I'm going to put it on finger point because that's what I always use for testing. Make sure you can just drag this into here. So that's where it will go on your avatar. I also have this script that I have. I'll probably just put it in the description. But it's basically it helps testing avatars without having to continuously upload every time just to find it doesn't work. It's better. I find it's better to just test in Unity. So cube thing. So we'll go into the Dropbox cube thing. Lock this because see, we have animations and we don't. Every time you click something that has an animation, it will like view that animation instead. So locking the tab for this will keep it. So this is what it's going to stay on. Oh, and actually, before we continue, we want to set this up. So we want this cube on release on by default, and this cube on hold off because this is the cube that you hold with the gesture, and this is the one that when you release, and you want this on by default, and then you'll see why. Actually, I could probably explain it really briefly, because if anything is on by default, it will play, right? So then when you hide this and then unhide it, it will play again. So I can actually show this to you. So let's just go back in here, lock this. So now we're ready to do the actual gesture override. So then all you do, so cube on hold is on, cube on release is off. That's all you got to do for this part. Preview, done. Now, if we play. Oh, actually, you know, there was something else I forgot to do. On the release, I did say we wanted it so at this point, it should disappear. So, I have this invisible material. All I need to do is just drag it into here. And so it disappears. So then when we disappears. So, without further ado. So, what happens is we press play. It disappears, but you're probably going, oh, why is it playing now? So, if we do this, you can see I'm pressing 3, which is on my controller, which is also equivalent to finger point. So finger point, hold, release. You can see how it works now. So when this is hidden, that turns off, this is active, but because as soon as you release it, and it's active, it plays as if it was on by default. So you're probably wondering, well, I don't want my avatar spawning in, it does this animation every time for the first time. So there is a way around that, and we call it I call it a play on awake thing, and that's really used for audio, but I use it for just anything really. So all you do to get around that so it doesn't like play at the start is you create an empty game object, and make sure you do this on the avatar itself. But the reason why is because if you do it on like here you make a game object, the position, because we change position, the position may move up there or something. So make sure you do it the same relative position of the avatar. So now we can just drag all these in, and you will have to redo your gesture overrides. So rename. So let's just call this cube POA, or play it on awake for short. So all you got to do now is to create an animation. This cannot loop because it's a once-off thing, and this is just so when you spawn in, it won't play or do any weird thing. Let's name it cube play on awake. Right, it's not looping. Drag and drop onto here. Record, and then all you gotta do on here, make sure that's locked. You just have to have this off. And we know the animation for that cube was half a second. We can go just a little bit more. Have it turn on there. So then when it plays, it will play. But the time, because the cube that we have originally when on the release part of the animation, it disappears. It's like well before this comes into play, so even though this is active, you're not gonna see this anyway. So I can actually show you this once we fix the gesture override. So we have to make sure that the gesture override is still working, because it won't work. So basically you'll have to do it again. The reason why I did it this way is so I can show you why you need this play on awake for avatars, because I'm pretty sure most people don't like their avatars playing random things at the start when they're not supposed to. So this is a way around that. So basically you don't do anything with this. You do the same thing. You have this active, you have this unactive. And then you can just copy these over. So then when we press play, we shouldn't see anything, right? Oh, it's gone now. But then if we do this, it's working. So that's the basics of on-release gestures, and you can apply this with not just meshes. You can apply this with game objects. You can apply this with particle systems. You can apply this with anything. Sound sources, which now that's the next thing we're gonna do. So we're actually gonna keep this cube, right? So I'm actually gonna create an empty game object, and I'm gonna call this rename sounds. So let's find some sounds, because I obviously don't have any ready, because yeah, I've done this a few times in terms of what, yeah. But anyway, let's say we have two sounds. So let's call this one on hold sound, and then this one will be called on release sound. So the next part of the tutorial is how to do on release sounds. So you know, when I like shoot my gun, it plays a little bullet ricochet or bullet coming out of the chamber sort of thing. So we can do that. So on release sound. So let's find some sounds. Let's find some sounds. Let's do Pac-Man on hold and Newt Newt on release. So then I don't actually know how. So you have to take note how long these sounds are. So they're 3 seconds. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna grab Balloon Pop. Actually, Balloon Pop would be better because it's shorter. Yeah. Okay. We're ready for this. So create your sounds here, like how I've got it, and so you'll have this one on by default. And so say you want it so. And actually, luckily, we've still got this active, so we can. Well, let's do a gesture override to do the sounds, so we can kind of see how to do this. So, why is this not letting me go here? Is it not locked? What the hell? Ah, there we go. So let's go here as you would normally. Lock this cube thing. We're gonna just do it on the cube just because we already have it. So when we hit record. And we turn this on, turn this off. I'm going to copy these over, Control C, Control V. And then what will happen is Newt Newt will happen. But then when I holding down, releasing. Holding down, releasing. Releasing. I know it's a bit weird, but yeah. So, what you can do now, because you probably noticed as soon as we loaded and played the scene, this is playing already, and you probably guessed it. Yes, you have to make this play on awake thing. So, you can either do it there, you can do the animation there, or you can actually just make your own. I prefer to just keep them separate so it keeps it organized. Rename, call it sounds. Play on awake, and that will do. So obviously this has changed, so we'll have to change that later. So you'll have to create another animation. Call it sounds play on awake. Don't make sure it's not looping. Drag, drop, and then all you have to do, and actually on the release audio source, have this off. And so what this does is, if this is not awake, it's not going to play the sound. But as soon as you hit awake, it will play. So what you can do, and you can utilize this, you can actually have it so when you spawn in, it's off by default. So off, and how long? That's the thing you need to always remember. How long is my animation or sound? This sound is about, like, it's almost a second. So let's do a second. Record. And we just turn that on. And that's all you need to do for this. So then when we play, it doesn't play anything. But then when we, oh, interesting. Ah, right. The thing I said that we had to do, we forgot to do. You gotta redo the gesture. Go back to the gesture. Obviously these don't exist anymore, so you'll have to go here, make sure it's locked. This is active, and this is hidden. Control C this, Control V that, and that should be done. So then when we play it, there shouldn't be any sound. And there you go. That's how you do your on-release sounds. Okay, we are at the section for the randomized sounds. I had to quickly cut it off at a particular point in the video, but other than that, yeah, let's get on with it. So, with the randomized sounds, it's not really randomized. It's just cycling through an animation, but basically it's really simple. So let's get some sounds. So I'm going to actually use Trace's blinking sounds that I use. Let me see. I think it's under here somewhere. Oh no, it's here. That's here. Yeah, here we go. So first off, you want to create a game object. Call it, I don't know, Tracer sounds, I guess. Then create another game object under that one. So that's now a child of that. Call that Tracer blink POA, so because it's the play on awake function we're using. Then create 3 audio sources, so you can just Control D this 2 more times. So I'm actually going to number these. So this is 1. This is 2. If it's going to let me do it, 2. And this is 3. Just to keep it simple. So now you can drag your audio sources into here. And now the next step is to turn off all these play on awake. And so what play on awake does is it if it is not on awake, it basically says what it does. It does what it says. It only plays if the sound of this this audio source is awake. It will play as soon as it's like been turned on. So we can actually utilize this. So what we can now then do, so I'm gonna actually have to go back into my tutorial folder, is we are going to create an animation called Tracer POA. And for this one, we want to make sure it's looping. And this is very important because you want this so you can always have a different sound every time. And you can do this with as much sounds as you want. So now that we've got this, we drag it onto here. So make sure you drag this onto here. We have this animation. Lock the animation as you usually should. Now normally what I do is I actually then go into here, and because these are all off, I just go, this is on. Let's say here, it's off. But then at the same time, this turns on. Right, so then when we get to here, this one's turned off, this one turns on. And then it just basically goes over and over again. And because this is looping, it's just going between all 3 of these. So then the next step is to hide all these. Hide these game objects. And then all you have to do is, for a test, So let's just make sure these are, yep. See, this one's not working. So we want to give it an extra frame. So this is off. So let's see if it does it now. Yep, so they're all flickering on and off. So that's the thing you want to make sure that it's doing. So it's all playing, it's going through all the sound sources. So now all you can do, and this is what you have to do for your animator. So in your gesture override, all you do is you turn this on. So every time you turn this on, turning all these on, whatever one of this, whatever play on awake is on, it's going to play that sound. So you're trying to figure out now, how do I put this as a gesture? Well, I'm glad you asked. It's really, it's so simple. All you do is create your animation, call it blink, because that's what the sound is, blink, loop, because it's a gesture override. Go on your animator, and your gesture override manager, and let's just put it on handgun, because why the fuck not? Then we go here, and we are untick that, and we will find blink, record, and then all you do is literally this. Oh, well, I'm pretty sure I locked that, but whatever. Record, and then all you do is you turn this on. That's all you gotta do. Turn it on, you're done. That's all you gotta do. So then when we play this, nothing happens, right? So now I need to remember what finger. Okay, it's not that button. There it is. So there you go. And that's how you do. That's how you do randomized audio. It's not really random, as I said before, because all it's really doing is just cycling between each play on awake. So it's not really random. There is another way to do it, but it's not very good for VRChat, unfortunately. So if you do have any other questions, please don't feel afraid to message me, because I'm willing. I'm happy to tell you what you're doing wrong or what you need to do or whatever. Or just message me on the down on the comments section below. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video and you've actually learned something that you can use for your avatars. Anyway, see ya.